You never need to use high reps in your training. Let me explain why. The general consensus is that the 5 to 30 rep range is what's most optimal for hypertrophy, and I want to challenge that a bit because of mechanical tension. So, what is mechanical tension? It's the force muscles experience when being taken through a range of motion, and the closer in proximity you are to failure, the more mechanical tension you're going to experience. And mechanical tension is one of the most important, if not the most important, driver of hypertrophy. So, why does that matter? If you're taking a set of, let's say, 20 reps of squats versus a set of 8 reps of squats, there's going to be a few variables that determine whether you're actually going to progress easier. And with higher reps, you're going to have more fatigue, which isn't optimal for hypertrophy, and you're going to have more opportunity to lose standardization of form. And standardization of form is obviously trying to keep your form as intact as possible throughout the whole set. But if you're doing a set of 20 squats, you're going to have more likelihood of your form breaking down as opposed to a set of, let's say, 8 squats. On top of that, higher reps can be harder to gauge failure and proximity to failure. The higher the reps are, the more burn you'll have and the more fatigue you'll have. So, again, it's going to be harder to know whether you're truly achieving failure or you're just experiencing CNS fatigue. The more fatigue you experience limits how close you are to failure as well, because you might give up just because of the burn. And most people, I'm not saying this might be you personally, but a lot of people give up on a set because of the burn or the fatigue before they actually achieve muscular failure. And you might be thinking, that's not me. I would totally go to failure or close to failure, even if I felt the burn. And that may be true, you might be able to. But why do that when you can stay in, let's say, a 5 to 12 rep range, get the same benefit, if not better, and not have to feel that burn fatigue and guess whether you're actually close to failure or not? And on top of that, you're going to find it way, way easier to progressively overload if you're keeping your reps relatively lower, like 5 to 12 rep range, as opposed to 20. If you try to add a rep on top of 20 reps, so 21 reps of squats, you are going to be fighting for your life trying to get that 21st rep. Whereas if you get a set of 8 and you're fighting for that ninth rep, sure, it might be extremely hard to get that ninth rep, but it's going to be easier than the 21st, and I promise you that. And then that brings me to another concern. People often say, but lower reps are going to hurt my joints. And actually, joint pain is more common from overuse. So, again, doing reps maybe way too high and overusing your joints, or improper warm ups, which I think no matter what rep range you're using, you should be warming up. Whether that's just using the bar, set your ego aside and just warm up with the lowest weight possible, get blood into the muscle around the joint, the tendon, and then start your working sets. Now, with your working sets, you don't want to be picking weights you can't manage. That's just going to cause injury and, again, joint pain and any other problems which will not allow you to train, which is not optimal. So, make sure you pick weights you can use and that you've used before to gauge where you're at. And if you've never done that before, take the first week or two of your program, spend the time aiming for the higher end of the rep range, let's say 12 reps. If you know that you can get more than 12, then you know you need to up the weight. If you get less than 12, then you're in a good spot to be able to progressively overload from there or even add a little weight. Now, with all that being said, the exercise in the video is actually a good example of this. If you're doing something where another muscle is going to take over from the emphasis that you're trying to put on another muscle, so let's say the lateral delts, if you're doing reps of 6 to 8, chances are you're going to have your traps take over more than your delts. So I would advocate for the higher end of the rep range, let's say 8 to 12, and it's really that simple. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please comment or just DM me. I'm always open to talking about any of these topics. I find it all very interesting. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.